August 17th, 6 p.m., August 17th, 2023. And we're going to open up the public comment portion. You'll have 4 minutes to comment if you want to speak, and we cannot respond. I guess we have some signed up. Okay. Anyway, you'll have 4 minutes to speak. We won't respond to it, so you can speak your mind. And the only thing we would ask is try not to repeat yourself too much, as it saves time and so forth. So, with that said, first one up is Senator Mike Oliverio.
Good evening. Thank you for an opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Mike Oliverio. I'm the state senator representing Monongalia County and Marion County. And I know that one of the things you may be considering tonight is a bridge across the Monongalia River to improve access to our industrial park. A businessman once told me the best time to sell something is when somebody wants to buy it. And there's a little truth to that tonight as we approach this issue. Because we live in a river town. Granville's on the river, Westover's on the river, Star City's on the river, of course Morgantown's on the river. And when somebody comes along wanting to build a bridge across the river, that's probably a good time to get a bridge built across the river. And that's where we find ourselves tonight. We have the Division of Highways facing a lot of alternatives, a lot of options, exploring a lot of challenges with the Federal Highway Administration. And they've come to our community tonight, a river community, offering to build a bridge across the river to an area that has tremendous economic development potential. So I come today just simply to offer my support to this project, to further open up access to this industrial park, which has seen great success already with Mountaintop Beverage, and has the potential for even greater success with the expansion of that facility and the addition of many more. So I urge you, if you have an opportunity here, to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oliverio. Next we have Marianne Foles. Did I say that right? Okay.
Hi, my name is Marianne Foles. I live at 828 Bloody Run Road, and I am actually running for County Commission next year in 2024, so I have a vested interest in trying to get involved in issues that are relevant to our community. I am 100% supportive of everything that's going on in the industrial park. I think it's a huge opportunity for our community. What I do think, though, is if there's going to be a bridge built, then we shouldn't be doing the interstate exit at Harmony Grove. I'd say it's one or the other. It's just too much money to invest in one particular project. Now, if down the road this, Mountaintop or the rest of the community of the industrial park grows to 5,000 jobs, then you maybe consider it then. But initially, I think it's just too much investment for one particular area. I think there's other things we can use some of our tax money for. So I wanted to say that. I'm also, my preference, because I've got this time, I like the option to go up to the Grafton Road. The only thing that I feel about that, and I feel very, very strongly about this, is what we can't do is we can't impact the people who are living up there on Scott Avenue. That's a pretty, a lot of residential area up there. There's also businesses. So whatever is done, if that becomes the solution, then I think you got to keep a green space, you got to keep some trees, and keep that noise down for the benefit of that community. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Foles. I want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. And, I just want to remind everybody that the mics are all live, so if you shuffle paper around, it's going to mess him up as far as recording. So if you're doing that, kind of keep it as quiet as you can. Otherwise, nobody will be able to understand any of it.
Mr. Chairman, may I also note that Commissioner Sikora is
Yes.
attending by telephone,
Yeah.
just to let everybody know.
Okay. Okay, next we have Robert Schroer. Pronounce that for me, please. Schroer. Okay.
Hey, good evening. It's nice to be with you guys tonight. My name is Robert Schroer. I am a project manager for JWCS, which is, we manage construction projects for Kingdom Halls of Jehovah's Witnesses all over the state of West Virginia, also Ohio and Maryland. And we're here particularly tonight just to hear about the bridge options and specifically looking for how property may be affected since one of our properties is tied in there with one of the options for the bridge. Specifically, we'd be just looking to know if there's a plan for the connection between 73 and 119 and how that may affect the Kingdom Hall there on Stringtown Road. And just really want to get as much information as we can, but we're happy to be here tonight and just hear the information that's coming out and see what selection the committee makes.
Okay, thank you. Jason Foster. Oh, I was going to say, you're on the program, so.
We will call on him
Yeah,
later.
I thought maybe you had something personal that you wanted to bring up. Okay, with that said, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Next, we have approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Approving a second, is there any discussion on them? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes. Okay, committee reports. Citizens Advisory Committee. Yep, he's here. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the.
Yep. Hi, my name's Christian Abilto, speaking on behalf of the Citizens Advisory Committee. Really, the only business we went through in our August meeting was discussion of the bridge, and after a pretty robust debate, we moved to, because the two things we had to decide were whether to move it up to Priority Area 2 on the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and then which alternative. We were presented essentially with 1 and 3. I assume everybody knows those, but we voted essentially 4-1 to approve moving it to Tier 2 on MTP, and discussed the two alternatives. And in representing citizens, there was pretty strong opposition to building it near the BFS. And then, so we voted for, I believe that's alternative 3, which is up off Grafton Road. I also submitted, I believe, Mr. Austin, do you have the letter from the MRTC, Mon River Trails Conservancy?
Yes, and that was shared with the policy board
Yes.
members.
Okay, yep, I presented that on behalf of the MRTC. So, yeah, so, questions? Happy to be here. Trying to fit it into a busy life schedule. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you, Christian.
Yep, thank you.
Finance Committee report.
All right, thank you. Our balance at the beginning of June was $98,225.83. We had one deposit during that month of $18,464.28. 21 disbursements totaling $24,378.89, leaving us an ending balance of $92,311.22 to carry over into July. During the month of July, we had 4 deposits totaling $74,583.33, 18 disbursements totaling $127,418.68, leaving us a balance at the end of July of $39,475.87.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the financial report as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Now we get to the exciting part. Got a lot of good stuff to,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Executive Director report.
I do need to report to the policy board that the Auditor Review Committee did review the 2 proposals we had for our auditors. They were scored. Unfortunately, we had to submit the selection to the state auditor's office prior to this meeting, but the committee recommended that we stay with BHM, our current auditor, for the upcoming 3 years. There was $150 price difference between the two proposals we received, and it was the consensus of the committee through the scoring that BHM, our current auditor, is the preferred auditor for the MPO. I would also like to inform everybody, if you have not heard, on September 6th, there will be a vulnerable road users meeting being held by the state at Mountain Line Transit on DuPont Road from 4:30 to 6:30, and there's also an online survey that we are encouraging the public to participate in to express their concerns about vulnerable road users, pedestrians, cyclists, and those sorts of issues. So that's an ongoing statewide initiative. It is part of the state's highway safety program plan, and it's very important to make sure that we get the public out to participate in that process. A really good piece of news is that the MPO, as you know, became the applicant along with the Port of Pittsburgh for the Marine Highway designation, M79, named North-South, and we were successful in that application. So the Monongalia has been designated as part of M79, the Marine Highway, by the U.S. Department of Transportation. And one of the things that's come about that we didn't have also note is that also makes them eligible for certain of the surface transportation funds that the MPO has input in as well, not just applying for grants from the Marine Highway Division. So that's also another potential source of funding for encouraging use of the Monongalia by freight haulers. Another piece of exciting news, once again from the U.S. DOT, Secretary Pete Buttigieg has appointed an equity advisory committee for the U.S. DOT, and Mr. Jing Zhang of the Morgantown Monongalia MPO, please stand up, Jing,
This is a big deal.
has been appointed to the equity advisory committee for U.S. DOT, and it includes such luminaries as the State of Washington's Secretary of Transportation, and quite a few other well-known folks throughout the country are participating on this committee with Jane. So we want to congratulate Jane on that accomplishment. Now back to a little bit more prosaic items. The Greenbag Road Design Project, the Engineering Division of West Virginia DOH has been working on that, and they're getting ready to send that out for bids for consulting firms to design the roadway portion of Greenbag Road that is not currently programmed for construction. So that would be the portion essentially from the Morgantown Mall to Don Knotts Boulevard, and also from Lucky Lane all the way down to Deckers Creek Boulevard. The project has been separated in two. As you know, that project also includes the potential for a multi-purpose path. West Virginia DOH will handle that under a separate contract under the Planning Division, and that's a feasibility study to determine if it is feasible to construct a multi-purpose path, essentially from the elementary school down to Deckers Creek Boulevard, parallel to Greenbag Road. Also, I think I've mentioned to the Policy Board and other memoranda, we've been discussing with the Division of Highways the status of the downtown microsimulation study, and we've determined that the quickest way to handle that would be for the MPO to be the contracting agency on that study. We have received all the match from everybody. Thank you, MAP. Thank you, City. Thank you, County. Thank you, WVU. And so we are proceeding to work on the contract for that. We do need to do this TIP amendment for that tonight. That's on the agenda. But everything's go, and we are certainly believe we can get them under contract so that they can do the data collection for that study in October. And then one last item, I will be out of the office since we don't meet until October. I thought I'd let the policy board know. The last week in September, I will be attending the National Association of MPO Conferences, MPO's conference in Cleveland that last week. So,
Sorry.
Anybody have any questions?
might be able to see the Guardians while I'm there.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions for the director?
So, that's the executive director's report. Thank you.
I guess I just had something that was related, so related to the Marine Highway designation, I just wanted to recognize the work of Emily Mazzarelli and Robin Hess
Yes.
in initiating that application and working with the Port Authority in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And super appreciate the work of the MMPO in carrying it forward when it was determined that through legislation they were not eligible to put it forth, and appreciate the wider representation of this body and the ability to get more done.
Yeah.
So,
And in fact, when I first got the notice, I did let Robin know about it.
yeah, she's been excited.
Yeah. So, yeah, so the city worked very diligently on that, along with the Port of Pittsburgh. So we're the beneficiaries of that hard work.
And you had mentioned Mountain Line in your report, and I failed to welcome our new member from Mountain Line, Maria Smith. Is taking, well, I guess you can't take his place, Dave's place,
And
but,
you wouldn't want to.
but welcome and join us, and welcome Dave Harshberger back. He was with us, and then
Temporary status.
temporary, so he's back, so,
He's on special detail to MUB.
yeah. He went off and bigger and better things, I guess. So, anyway, I just didn't want to, I wanted to do that before I forgot it. Okay, next is the Transportation Improvement Program Amendment.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As noted in my executive director's report, we do need to amend the Transportation Improvement Program to include the downtown microsimulation study, the use of suballocated surface transportation block grant funds for the purpose of this study. This is sort of redundant since the policy board wrote a letter requesting that DOH apply these funds to this purpose, and the Secretary Ariston responded in the affirmative to that request. But we need to get through the formal dotting the i's and crossing the t's. And so the Transportation Technical Advisory Committee and the Citizens Advisory Committee both unanimously recommended approval of this amendment. And the amendment is to amend the Transportation Improvement Program to include project STBG 2023-3115D, Surface Transportation Block Grant Funds, in the amount of $400,000 for the conduct of the downtown microsimulation study, with $100,000 in local matching funds, which came from the agencies I acknowledged in my previous discussion.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second. Couple seconds here.
Any discussion, questions, follow-up? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Now we have the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this item has been under a lot of discussion, and everybody is familiar. We provided you with a memorandum providing a summary of the understood impacts of the proposed bridges. As you're aware, the Division of Highways has proposed 2 alternative bridges to provide enhanced access to the Morgantown Industrial Park. Alternatives 1 and 3, and the mapping that was included in your memorandum are the 2 alternatives. The Technical Advisory Committee recommended amending the Metropolitan Transportation Plan priority list to include Southern Bridge as identified in the transportation plan under the funded by others funding. The TTAC did not make a recommendation between the alternatives. And as reported by the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee, that body recommended 4-1 to amend the priority list to include the project in the Tier 2 projects of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan priority list. And they recommended 4 with 1 abstaining, 4 for alternative 3.
I would make a motion that we amend the plan, and also, in following suit, make them, as part of the motion, that we amend it to option 3, moving forward in the other funded projects.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion?
I have one question. I think it's the right move to do alternative 3. My question, and since Jason's here, I don't know if you know yet, I guess we're still trying to figure out on the map where it's going to go and where it comes across to 73. That's the problem. And living on 73, the road is not the best and it's fallen in places. So I know the engineers will support it, but do we have any idea where it's going? That's, I know generally where we want it to go, but do we have any concept yet on that besides the pencil mark? I think that's real important. Are we allowed to know? I mean, are we able, could you? Yeah, no, we'd be appreciative.
He needs to go to the mic.
Jason,
Could
please
you go
go
to the mic? Yeah,
microphone.
yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Smith Town.
And let me, okay, I want to recognize
Yes,
Jason
yes, go ahead,
Parker
yes, sorry.
and Perry Keller. They're with the DOH, work directly with the secretary, and they have the most knowledge of
Yeah.
this particular project, so.
I apologize for not introducing you guys earlier.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, because this will help us understand a little bit better.
It's quite all right. I don't know if it'll help you understand, but I'll try to describe it. Essentially, and the gentleman from the Jehovah's Witness Hall, Kingdom Hall,
Yeah.
The best description I can give you, and I apologize for this, but if you're coming from Don Knotts Boulevard, you'll go past the Kingdom Hall, the Jehovah's Witness, and I would say in the neighborhood of between 500 and 1,000 feet will be about where the road will cross. And I will use the terms abouts and maybes and close, because preliminary engineering to final engineering, we will detail things out and get more precise, but that's the range we're looking at. And I'll further offer that there's kind of a low gap in that area, and we're using that grade to achieve the grade to Don Knotts. Is that an adequate description?
It's even better. I'm real excited. That's what I was hoping to hear.
Okay.
And we were just worried it was going to be on the other side, which we're worried about. No, I think that's an excellent. I know
Thank you.
people in Ashland
Okay.
States will be pleased to hear that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, we've already did the public comment. Yeah, we already did.
The motion might be contradictory, because it was moving into tier 2 and other funded projects. I'm sorry to speak out of turn, but.
As a tier 2 with funding sources coming from other funds, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have not identified the funding
The funding
sources at this
sources.
point.
Yeah.
Not on the alternative fund. Sorry.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. No, that's all right. Okay.
I mean, you didn't really interrupt because you're.
Yeah, it's a good question.
advisory, But,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, any other questions? No? All right.
I'm not allowed to speak, but I didn't understand what he said. That was not clear.
That's out of order.
Yeah, we can't, I'm sure you can meet with him, yeah, afterwards, and he can answer. Okay, so we've got the motion and the second, so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, motion passes.
Unanimous. You heard he also.
Sean?
Yeah,
Sean also did,
Sean
yes, so
also-
just so you
Sean
know.
also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, other business.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other business at this point.
Anybody have anything for the good of the order?
I have one question. I had heard at one of, at the MAPS Transportation Committee meeting, a little bit of talk about Highway 7 paving at some point. And I didn't know if we knew, or if we could find out when that's most likely to happen. I've had many emails. I had a phone call from a student today. I've had a longtime resident conversation, and I've had a nasty email with lots of swear words in it about it. So it's
Apologies if I
what
spelled
they're
it wrong.
talking about. What they're talking about. Yeah, got that note from you from between the Hogback turn and
Brockway.
Brockway Avenue.
Yeah, you're talking
Yeah.
Brockway.
yeah. And but the area right between the Hogback turn and the ice cream
Right.
Yeah.
is like the epicenter, and then
She just
radiating
lost
out
a hubcap.
both directions. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's
think-
really frequent comments, like
Yes.
more frequent than normal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ron?
I was
Do you remember what?
part of that meeting,
Yeah.
and my understanding, and I think
Yes.
Bill was part of it as well, maybe others were.
I came in a
Steve was
little late,
on the
I'm
call.
sorry.
Yes.
My understanding was they're going to go all the way through town down to the intersection of Beechhurst, up past the Dominion Post. It is in next year's construction budget and project list that it will be done next construction season. We asked the DOH if it was okay to even put that
Right.
out there for public
Right.
comment, and they said, or public information, and they said yes.
Yeah.
The one question that did come up was potentially reinforcing, and that's probably layman's terms, some of that roadway area
With con-
in order to accommodate some of the larger weight loads. And as of now, that is not in the planning, but would potentially make good sense to do so. And my recommendation, based on that phone call, would be for Mr. Alston to pull a few folks together, because they suggested that maybe a letter or some information to that sense, or showing that we would all be supportive of that, could be very helpful in getting that done as well. So that would be my suggestion. So long and short, next paving season, all of Brockway is going to be reworked from about
University
Dominion
Avenue
Post
to-
all the way down through town, down to Beechhurst Avenue.
And they were talking about, in the plan was going down to some of the underpinnings.
Yes, they said
And
that they
taking
have
out
to
some
take
brick
out the brick because
and
it's
really-
on a sand surface, and reinforce that surface so you don't get as much, so there's brick under that street, so they have to take it out. So it will be a big project, an expensive project, but it's basically reworking all that roadway next year.
And concrete was specifically what we were talking about, because
Right.
Yeah.
there's no form of asphalt
No.
that we lay people know about. Maybe there's some magical one that some engineers know about, but there's really no asphalt that seems to work. So it would need
Yes.
to be concrete.
Maybe,
in
Bill, if
as
you
much
want
of it
to
as
work with Russ
possible.
and pull some of us together, they indicated we ought to probably put that letter making that suggestion quickly
Yeah.
together.
And Damian Davis was already working on
Yep.
it some, so you might work with him.
work
I'll
with
contact Damien and make sure to
Yeah,
coordinate with
get
him.
with Damien.
Yeah, I apologize, I came a little late on that meeting, so I
So-
missed
Yeah.
some of that nuance. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I was
Good news.
trying to get the nuance
I
on the
would,
timing.
Definitely keep the calendar in mind as to when they
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, construction season, does that mean after July 1st?
No,
or
it means
bef-
second week of August.
That's what I was,
It does mean the
I was
second week of
avoiding
August.
saying that,
No,
but-
it does.
That's how I get, well, I want to bring up one other issue, and Mayor Lucci, I know, and I've been talking about this. Have you heard any more about your question, or, since we have the state people here, we had talked about possibly doing Holland Avenue, paving it now rather, and then repave it 3 or 4 years afterwards, Could you explain that while you have the people here? I thought this would be the perfect time.
I
'Cause you've
was
been bringing this
told,
up.
I was told that the construction and the paving things have already been laid out, and
So-
Westover Holland Avenue's not part of it. So, at this time, in this
Okay.
series. So it'll probably be after we start getting the work done on it.
And that's
The way it was
huge.
explained to me.
That's a huge project, because the wall's involved in some of that too. And
Yeah.
Yes, it's not
It'll
just,
take a while.
it's just not paving, it's,
Have you got the money secured for the work that you're going to do on Holland with the,
Yeah, about all of it's secure, not all of it, but our engineers are working on that as well. to get
is
the
that
money.
some, Mr. Alston, is that somewhere we could use some of that money that I believe was a little bit over $1 million? Could that be triggered into that area to make sure that moves forward?
Unfortunately, the actual piping work is not eligible. Resurfacing work obviously would, but the Division of Highways has already budgeted for the resurfacing work. I will let you know, just as we're talking about those suballocated funds really quickly, I have heard from Westover and the city of Morgantown that both entities are planning to submit at least one application for that funding, just to let you know where we stand with that suballocated funding. And we should have those proposals for the policy board's review in October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
I was glad that Jenny brought that up about the area down there around the turn. School's starting back, and I've been on that road a couple times over the last few days, and it's not the road I'm concerned about. 2 times I've been driving, and I've seen trucks up on the sidewalks. So that's a pedestrian issue down there. So paving's a year away. We need to address the pedestrian issue of trucks going up on the sidewalks between the car wash and the snow cone place. Because I've seen it twice, and I just have been driving the past 2 or 3 days down there. I live in Star City, so I don't drive that way often, but if I've seen it, then it's been happening, and it's almost time for all the kids to start walking those sidewalks.
You think they're using that as to smooth out,
It might be.
get it over?
It's like just
Yeah.
popping right up onto the sidewalks
Yeah.
and kind of,
So I'm wondering if they're using that to smooth out their ride,
yeah.
Yeah.
which won't be very long, because the sidewalk wasn't built for that.
Well, and then I'm worried too, because school's starting earlier now.
Right,
Kids
kids
are
are
out
walking.
earlier. It's gonna start getting darker with the time change. So I'd hate to see something bad happen as we move into the winter months too, so just something I wanted to bring up, maybe we can look at, pay attention to. Maybe we need to do something down there.
Put up some kind of a barrier, like,
It's been going on for years, Steve.
Yeah.
I live off that road, and it's always happening.
Every day.
well, and it happens right away after it's been repaired. It starts to get mushy again. So it doesn't really help to put asphalt on it. It helps a little bit, but it really needs some more treatment.
So could we ask the state next year when they do it to look at a different design in those areas to maybe help that into the future? Because it's been going on a long time. Maybe let's fix it once and for all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else? We will be adjourned.
I'm in shock. I know. Thank you, Kelly. I brought a soda. I was going to bring food, popcorn.
Hey, Glenn?
That's all.